You're watching Ketome TV. Knowledge is power.
Kira wants to know, does the keto diet help to treat cancer?
Yes, the famous keto diet.
The famous keto,
Yes.
Formerly Atkins with a twist.
Yeah, it's developed over the years.
Yeah.
So as you know, the keto diet basically is a process where you get rid of simple carbs, mostly simple carbs, and unfortunately complex carbs too, which is not necessarily a good thing. It was developed for, I believe, children with seizures. And they found that using ketones, which are the byproduct of metabolizing fat, and so we have all these fat stores in our body, and what happens with the ketone diet is that our body runs out of simple carbohydrates to produce glucose, which recharges our ATP from ADP and AMP.
And makes all the proteins.
And recharges our energy molecules of the cells, which is ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and recharges that. So the process, usually we use sugars, but in the ketones, what you do is you end up using ketones or fats, and the byproduct is a ketone. So some of the good things about a ketone diet is that you can lose weight. It causes you to burn fat. There's been some interesting studies on cancer. Some preclinical trials have showed, or not trials, but preclinical data have shown in animal models that it can actually be quite effective. And
in what way effective?
Effective in the sense that certain cell lines, for example, of certain types of cancers, were actually inhibited by that process. And the mechanism behind that is that there's a lot of mitochondrial dysfunction in cancers, and certain cancers cannot actually use ketones. So when you go on a ketone diet, the normal cells can use the ketones to provide you with energy and recharge your ATP or ADP. But your cancer cells can't, because they have dysfunctional mitochondria. Now, there's also some studies that show that depending on the genetic features of your cancer, it can also cause cancers to grow faster.
Right.
So there's dual evidence both ways.
Right.
It boils down to the specific genetics of your cancer.
Right.
So to jump into a ketone-based diet is not necessarily a good thing unless you've actually done some research on the genetics. And there are some genes that we know can make that switch from a benefit to a detriment. Yeah.
Got it.
Now, the other thing I think that also needs to be considered is our fat cells are the storage sites of chemicals and
all our toxins
and carcinogens and so on. So if you're constantly breaking down fats, you're going to be ingesting more toxins. And so that's going to have a side effect over time. So,
and again, depending on the genes that are driving your cancer, that could have no effect, or that could have a massive effect.
Exactly. So the general consensus now for cancer-fighting diets is to have lots of vegetables that have plant phytochemicals. Many of these things inhibit the processes involved in cancer. The actual molecular signaling pathways.
Okay.
And minimize your meat. Have a mostly vegetarian diet, lots of seeds, nuts, fruits, vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, and just have meat once or twice. Olive oil, herbs, garlic,
and overall reduce calories.
And overall reduce calories. Yes.
Yes.
And that it's called the Mediterranean diet, and that seems to be the most healthiest diet, both in cancer and in aging.
Okay. So here's where these great ideas about what we should do can often kind of meet reality.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of us already struggle with self-care in certain areas, whether it's sleep or, maybe drinking too much or not exercising enough or not eating well enough. And stress, like we might experience with a cancer diagnosis or cancer treatment, typically makes us do worse by ourselves, not better by ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to follow advice like that, or other people have suggested things about dietary changes or lifestyle changes, and you're really struggling to implement them, either like throughout life or especially now with the added stress of a cancer diagnosis, that's where mental health care can come in really handy. Working with a healthcare professional who is skilled in helping people to make lifestyle changes and overcome stress-based barriers can be really helpful, because diet makes such a big difference to how people navigate.
Yeah, when I was doing my graduate studies over the years, I did a lot of research on the mechanisms that turn genes on and off, the epigenetic-based mechanisms. And what I looked at is what's called transcription factor binding sites. And these will either turn a gene on or turn a gene off.
Okay.
And I was quite shocked to find transcription factor binding sites for all of these different phytochemicals. And so this tells us that, phytochemicals and different, what we eat actually has an effect on controlling and regulating our genes.
Wow.
And the genes involved in cancers. Now, there's obviously a perfect diet for every cancer, but that's going to be so specific to the genetics.
Your genes.
And, we don't have all of the data for that yet. So someday there'll probably be a perfect diet for every cancer.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet, but we can do a lot with the information we have now.
That's right.
We can really do a lot.
Yeah. So keto, no, really, until you know what your genes are and whether the genes that might be we'll say affected by that diet will be helping you or harming you.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Mediterranean diet is generally safe as best as practices.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Ketome TV. Subscribe below and stay informed.